Hello, and thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the She Means Business podcast, where we bring together badass women business owners, industry leaders, and other aspiring women to celebrate their success and empower you. I am your host, Ashley Mastowski. I'm a business owner, wife, and mom of twin toddlers. Ambitious is my middle name. Join our email list and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You'll find inspiring content, updates, and the chance to connect with like-minded individuals. Remember to leave a review and share how we've inspired you. Now, let's get to business. Hello, and welcome to the She Means Business podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Mastowski. Today, I am super excited to learn the journey of someone that I've gotten to know over the past year, both as a client and we are in a networking group together. So she is a rock star in the real estate world. And I always love realtors because I think I was a realtor in my past life. I love the real estate process, and who doesn't love going house hunting? To be honest, I would do that daily if I could, except in the 100-degree heat. But anyways, I just always love chatting with realtors selfishly because I love hearing about how they've built their business, because their industry is very parallel to mine in the insurance world. We're both commission only. We both have to build a book of business. Just she makes way more per transaction than I do, but I have more consistent residuals. So it's a trade-off, right? But knowing we're in similar situations, I always love chatting with realtors because I love to learn their story, what made them make the jump into real estate, and then how they do what they do, how they build their book, because I use it for my own inspiration. So hopefully you guys can use it for your inspiration too, because I know she was one that came from the corporate world and decided to go all in with real estate. So with that being said, please welcome Stephanie Anderson. She's with Team Correa of Urban Nest Realty. So welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you allowing me to come on this podcast and tell my story.
Yes, absolutely. So I know you started, you can go back as far as you want, right? But you started in the corporate world, but what got you into the corporate world? What got you there?
Yeah, so I did. When I was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, native here. And, after high school.
That's so rare to hear, by the way.
I know it. I know. So native, there's not many of us, but we are here. I love Las Vegas. It's my home. It's been my home forever. Always had interest in real estate, but, from a young age, graduating from Las Vegas High School, I wasn't quite in the right mindset at that point in my life to, take on such an industry. So, I had a friend who had a mom who worked at one of the casinos in town. And she offered us positions. We were just out of school. We didn't know what direction our lives were going to take. The spa was hiring. My friend got hired on at the spa, and I was super excited to possibly work with her there. And they had no more positions in the spa. So she calls me and says, "Hey."
I'd work at a spa just for the discount.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, this would be great, working at a spa. So then they were no longer hiring there, and she let me know they had a position in human resources. And I'm this young 19-year-old kid. I didn't even know what human resources was, but I thought, what the heck? Let me interview and see how it goes. So I did interview.
Who really wants to go straight into human resources?
I know. I'm like, out of all things, it ended up being a good thing for me. Right. I did get the job, and, yes. My career in human resources was about 8 years. I did various different positions in human resources. I was able to learn and grow. So it ended up being a good experience for me. My vice president at that time of human resources came to me and let me know, hey, the chief financial officer is hiring, an assistant. And she suggested that she thought that would be a good move for me. So I thought, again, what the hey, it can't hurt. Let me go interview. And I did, and it was very intimidating. I had worked in the casinos many years, but never been up to the executive offices. with the big offices.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I did it, and you know what? I was fortunate enough that he did decide to hire me on with one condition. The
Awesome.
condition was that I learned to use Excel because I did not know how to use Excel. And working for a CFO, I was going to be working with a lot of spreadsheets and creating spreadsheets.
Oh,
So
that's like my worst nightmare is Excel.
I know it was mine too, but now I got to tell you, I'm an Excel nerd. I love Excel. My whole life is outlined on an Excel spreadsheet.
Yep.
So I learned
That's
Excel, and
funny.
I ended up, working with him ultimately for about a span of 12 years. Um, and we moved to
Wow.
different casinos and different properties together, and ultimately ended up working for him and a couple different executives at the same time. Um, which brings me, to, close to 20 years in my career now and in the corporate world.
Wow.
And,
And
the
you know
exec,
what? Even starting in HR,
yeah,
yeah, even starting in HR, you are learning the managing and the business,
yes,
and you have to know all
yes,
the rules and
yeah,
games to play
yeah,
and how to manage people.
yes.
That's the part
I,
nobody really likes
well,
is
and
all the rules of the people.
yeah, and those positions really honed me into kind of the business professional I am
Hmm.
today. I helped, I
Yep.
was working for the employees when I was in human resources. I learned to
Hmm.
love to help people, in my business world. And even
Hmm.
when I went to support the executives, that's what I was doing, was helping them through their day and what they needed to get
Yep.
through. And so it really did hone, what I have installed in me today with business. I, time management, just there's so many different things that I was
Hmm.
able to learn during those years. So super grateful with those opportunities that I had.
Yep.
Um, you know, the executives that I worked for, different things happened, retirement and things happened, and they decided that our little group was going to need to split up. And so I found myself again, like I did when I graduated high school. What am I going to do now? And I talked it over
Right.
with my husband, and I had bought and sold a few houses at this point in my life, and I thought, I love real estate. I love helping people. How hard can it be?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, it's easy, right? It's easy to do. So I thought this is my time when it's time for me to make this move from the corporate world, become my own individual business owner, and take on this real estate world. And that's what I did. I got my
Hmm.
license. I did the schooling. I passed the test, and then I found myself again. Okay, I have my license, but now what do I do?
What do I do?
And, I had a family member who had gotten her real estate license a few years earlier. And man, she was just killing it. She was successful and she was doing great. And my mom had told me that she aligned herself with a good mentor who had a lot of experience in the real
Hmm.
estate industry. And I thought, well, this is what I need to do. I need to align myself with a good mentor. My entire career I've been successful because I've been surrounded by these smart, successful, business-minded, respectable people. And I thought, okay, this is the route I need to go to be successful in real estate. And so luckily she put me in touch with him, and we set up a meeting. And I didn't know what to expect from this meeting. I didn't expect to sign on with him or join him. I just thought, let me go to this meeting and see what happens. And I got to tell you,
Yep.
during this meeting, I was just like, this man he thinks alike I do. He has built his business on building relationships, does not treat his clients as a transaction or a number. And I thought, man, this is a good fit for me. And meanwhile, he has been in the
Yeah.
business many of years, so he has a lot of wealth of information that he can share with me and teach me and mentor me. And by the time I left that meeting, luckily enough, he was willing to take me on and mentor me and train me. And I signed up with the brokerage. I joined his team, and have just gone on from there. And continue to have him mentor me. And without that, I
That's awesome.
don't
And
know.
I think, yeah, well, and I think with your background of understanding how working with executives,
Hmm.
working with people, working with the different, that really probably helped you understand how actually the business of real estate works,
Yes.
right? Because I think too many people are like, and sometimes I see that in the insurance world, insurance agents think, oh, well, I can sell insurance. I'll be a great agent. Well, no, we're actually business owners first.
Right. Exactly.
Insurance agents second.
Exactly.
And if you don't understand how to run a business, at some point, all those sales that you just did are gonna fall apart because you didn't do the business part of it and get that going.
You're exactly right. I mean, that's a huge part of it. It's almost more of a part of it than actual process of helping someone buy and sell. There's
Right.
so many other things that go into it. We're problem solvers, we're business owners, we sell ourselves to people, and so there's just so many more things that go into it that I didn't even know went into it when I decided to embark on, becoming a real estate professional. Um, and I do think that aligning myself with someone from the get-go that had experience, had their
Yes.
own business, was just key for me. And, anyone starting off, I would most definitely say with any industry that you're maybe looking to go into, to be your own business owner, a good mentor, I think is huge in helping you be successful.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Yeah. And just the fact that you knew that and that you had the people telling you that
yeah,
and you grasped onto that, I think knowing, I mean, obviously I know you now and you're very successful, but like I would know from the beginning you're going to be successful because I think it's the people that just think they can do everything on their own
hmm
and have things figured out that aren't humble enough or can set aside their pride because they're thinking, oh, I have, all, my friends and cousins and whatever, and, to sell my houses to,
right.
I can do this. It's a pretty humble position to be like, no, I need to be taught. I need to learn from the best of the best. And I think some people go into any business thinking, sometimes a little too cocky,
Yeah.
especially in today's world. I think that generation
Yeah.
thinks they know everything
Yeah.
and don't want the mentorship, right?
Yes.
And you really have to ground yourself and be like, no, I really have a lot to learn. If you learn it the right way from the ground up, right? And learn from the successful people, I think it's people like you and me that are going to be successful in the long run because we went about it the right way and we didn't go out just guns a-blazing.
And I
Like,
think you're
I'm just
exactly
gonna
right.
fly by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, I don't even think I would have known the first place to start really in starting in to build a successful
Mhm.
business just out the gate on my own. There's so many things to learn about the industry in itself, let alone the business
Mhm.
side, and
Yeah.
building a relation or building a business relationally, it has been huge. It's so rewarding
Mhm.
when you can
Yeah.
help people. Yeah, and we really are helping people. I know it's small in the
Yeah.
the big world, but when you can help people's,
Just a different help.
yeah, dreams come true of, becoming a homeowner,
Mhm.
it really is rewarding. And the highest compliment one of my clients can give to me is by referring me a friend, a family, a coworker, an acquaintance, because I know if they feel confident in referring them to me, I did a good job for them and they trusted me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
continue to trust me.
Yeah. Referrals are the best. It's literally hands down the best way. My marketing budget has been so minimal.
Yes.
It's more of like just retaining and keeping. But at the end of the day, my entire agency is built on referrals. And it's one of those, it's free because it's just word of mouth. And it's very rewarding to be like, okay, these people were referred directly to me no matter what way it was. And just your closing ratio goes up because of
Yeah.
that alone,
Yes.
and it's people, that's literally the best way. But how do you do it at a bigger scale? How do you do it? So
Yeah.
you're totally right. And it is the best way because, it was a great experience for them. And then also it's a free, quote unquote, free lead per se. But then it goes to be like, okay, how can I scale at a bigger level on referrals? How can I incentivize, bring in, but I think it's always what goes around comes around, and you just being the person you are and building that relationship and trust with your clients
Yes.
is the best way,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, most
to make sure to earn
definitely.
that referral.
Most definitely. And, my clients know that after the transaction, I'm not gone. It's not like we close your transaction and I don't know you anymore. I just had, I think it was last week, someone call me. We closed on his home 2 years ago, and he had some questions about his home warranty and some things. And, I picked up the phone and I helped him and I walked him through it. And it was just great because he thanked me. Thank you for being there. Thank you for answering the phone. I mean, we bought our home 2 years ago and you're still here for us. And again, that's one of those rewarding moments where you're like, this is
Yeah.
great. I am helping people.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
appreciative of what I do for them. And it's those moments
Yeah.
that I know I made the right choice, to venture out on my own, and get into the industry, the real estate industry, like I did.
How did you feel confident? I mean, I'll be honest, let me reword that because I don't think we'll ever feel confident. Because same with me, I was managing a captive insurance agent's office. So I wasn't an owner. I wasn't, I was the breadwinner of the family. I had most of our income. I just finally had to say, I'm just going to take this leap of faith.
Yeah.
I was done working for other people. I am going to take the risk. And it's funny because I don't consider myself a risk taker. But then when I have this conversation with my mom, she's like, your dad and I are teachers. We would never do what you did. I was like, oh, I guess I am a risk taker. To me, it just seemed, but I think maybe that was one of the reasons that it did seem right, because it didn't seem like a risk. I mean, to me, I'm like, why isn't it everybody an insurance agent? This is an awesome field. But what made you finally, like, I get that there was ownership changes. So you were, it was a good time in your career that you felt that, but I mean, you're leaving a paid position to a probably minimally paid position with a mentor.
Yes.
What the hell am I doing? Kind of walk me through that. Cause I think that is where I always love to learn how you made that decision and that transition. But I know we might have listeners that are in your same exact situation right now.
Yeah.
That maybe you can shed some light, or, you never really know when it's the right time. But what was it that was going through your head?
Yeah, so definitely. So I was nervous. Don't get me wrong. It was scary. I was nervous. I had thought about it for years. I'm in a position where I have a set paycheck. I get bonuses. I have health insurance, all these things. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave all of that. And I have nothing, starting off. But I told myself, I just said, this is going to work. You're going to do what you have to do to make it work. And it wasn't easy. I mean, it's still not easy. There's a lot of, hours that go in, and days where there's ups and there's downs and highs and lows. And, it happens,
You probably have some transactions that are smooth sailing, easy as pie. You're like, oh, I definitely earned my, that I almost feel bad taking that commission. Yes. But then you probably at the same time or on the other end of the spectrum, you're like, I did not earn enough commission.
Yes, and you do. You have both, right? Like some days those smooth transactions, you're like, you're on cloud nine, and then the others you're like, holy moly, let's get through this, But I think I just had to have that switch in my brain where I was like, you're just gonna do it, because there's no perfect time. There'll never be a perfect time. If you wait for the perfect time, it will never come. I think it's just a decision where you're like, I'm going to do this, and I have to put everything into it to be successful, and in the end, a winner. And that's kind of what I did. I talked it over with my husband. I'm grateful enough that he supported me in my decision to do that. And and here we are. And it's crazy to look back now and like, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a business owner. I'm doing this, it's still a little surreal.
You were doing the damn thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
How long has it been now since you've gotten into real estate?
So it's been about 4 years now. So 4 years in real estate. Learned a ton in the past few years. Still learning a lot. Every transaction is a learning experience. You learn a little something with everyone that you handle, you close, maybe that doesn't close. It's always a learning experience. And the past few years.
Yeah, well, and then especially in your industry, the ups and downs. So
Yes.
now sounds like you got into the market when everybody and their moms were buying homes because the interest rates were phenomenal.
Yes.
So now you're having to shift gears, which goes back to having a mentor
Yes.
who's been in it for a long time,
Yep.
who knows the ups and downs, right? It's
Yep.
like he can prep you for it. They can, do
Yes.
whatever, but how are you navigating the market that we're in right now? I mean, I feel like you're having to try to motivate people to let them know it's going to be okay to buy when the interest rates are high because you're paying less for your house. We all
Yes.
know this game.
Yeah.
And I am a firm believer in that. So how has that shifted? Now you're in a crazy market of
Yeah.
high interest rates.
Yep.
So how do you kind of shift your business?
Yeah, you're 100% right. My mentor has been huge with that because when I first got into the business, it was crazy. I mean, you would list a house for sale. You had a line of people waiting out of the house to see it on weekend one. You were in contract by Monday. You would close 30 days later. I mean, it was just like that because the houses were flying off.
Which I can say that is exactly, I bought my house in 2018, I think.
Yeah.
Beat out 25 offers. They lowballed it when they hit the market, knowing they were going to get 1 million offers over the weekend.
Mhm.
So we knew it was way lower than what the ending price would be, which we ended up right in line with, the appraised value.
Right.
But that was rough.
Yes.
25 offers. I was
Yes.
right in there. I was like, dang.
Yes. And that's what was happening. And when I would meet with my buyers, I would let them know up front, I'm going to go round after round after round for you. I'm not going to give up. It's going to be a little bit of a fight because there's going to be so many offers on these houses, people paying over appraised
Mhm.
value. But I had a few first-time home buyers during that time frame, and I got to tell you, we got them all into contract. It was a fight. We had to put in, multiple offers on different homes, but ultimately, we were able to win on all of them and fight for them. And we determined a strategy, that would work for our
Yep.
buyers at that time frame. Sellers had it easy at that time. Like I said, you list your house, you have multiple offers, you're closed pretty much within 30 days. But yeah, we are
Right.
in a completely different market now. And, coming out of the get-go for me in that type of market, trying to learn to maneuver this market, my mentor has been
Mhm.
huge. We have a 1.5 months supply of inventory. So inventory is low. If seller prices are house right, 68% of homes are sold within or in contract within the first 30 days. So it's a little bit of a different market to maneuver with the interest rates being a little higher, price points being higher than they ever have before, for buyers. But what I like to do is I meet with the buyers and I educate them and just explain to them,
Yep.
the process, how everything works, interest rates, potentially if they do eventually come down, we can, refi and get a better payment. And
Mhm.
historically, the market's up and down, up and down. And so,
Yep.
from
Yep.
what everyone's saying, I don't.
And in all honesty, right? Like you can't sell high and buy low
Yeah.
unless you have it like at the same time, right?
Right.
Like that's never going to happen unless you have other properties that you can sit on.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out, and that's where the
Yeah.
education piece really plays a part is,
Mhm.
the problem is I think you run into this just as much as I do, but the internet is everybody's best friend, right? Like, I don't want to go to the doctor, so I'm Googling this.
Right.
I don't want to buy insurance. I want to go get this insurance because I think it's right, but you're talking to Google, an unlicensed agent, right? Like,
Right. Right.
Or even going online to Geico and just reading a blurb, and now you know everything and you don't realize you're not properly insured.
Yes.
So you're dealing with the same people. They're like,
Yeah.
they have to be open to listening to a licensed professional.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's probably what you kind of back into, very similar to me.
We do. And, we come across that because there's so much information online now. There's the iBuyers. There's so many more things to navigate with that now. And so, That is a
Yeah.
struggle, to get folks that actually want to listen and speak to someone that's licensed, that do, this is
Hmm.
their life day in, day out. I eat,
Yeah.
drink, sleep real
Yeah.
estate, day in, day out. So when you
Right.
do get someone that is interested in listening and takes the time, it's exciting because ultimately you can
Right.
inform them and help them in the end.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And that's, I just like to tell people, I've seen it too, where I have a client at the dealership and they go, well, my car salesman is telling me my rate should go down with this
Yeah.
new car. And I'm like, do they have an insurance license?
Hmm.
I would like to know that,
Yeah.
if that's what you're listening to. So just every industry gets their bad raps, but I just want people to be more informed and open to the education piece and know it's the know-it-alls that I'm sometimes like, look,
Yeah.
and I was actually thinking when I had made the comment, we're very in parallel industries. You definitely make way more in commission than I do per transaction, but I'm in a bunch of mom groups, which I think I've said this multiple times. I just need to get out of them. Because sometimes like Carrie, it's a necessary evil, right? Like you want the referrals, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm like, I can't read these dumb comments.
Yeah.
But I've seen several times, does anybody have a realtor that makes 1% or
Yeah.
will, make me, and I'm like, the amount of knowledge on the largest purchase of your life,
Yeah.
to me, you should not be questioning
Yeah.
their interest rate. Now, if you're, charging 5% or whatever
Right.
whatever, like
Right.
then, or per side, but it's like, I do not want to get into a contractual issue
Right.
that I didn't see or try to
Yeah.
buy on my own or sell
Hmm.
on my own.
Yeah.
Like, I want to normalize professional industries.
Yeah.
You and me are no different than a lawyer, than a doctor. We have a specific license that we're required to get, whether it didn't, just because it didn't take us 4 years extra
Yeah.
for education, we still are very specialized, and our industries are still, they should be more respectful
Right.
and more respectable, I guess,
Right.
for what we do, because you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of
Yes.
dollars
Yes.
in a transaction.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, it's someone's.
And has anybody seen a real estate contract?
I know. And do you understand it? Which is
Yeah,
another.
like, what's this legalese that I'm trying to
Right.
understand?
Which another reason I like to, educate people is because even when I got into the
Yes.
industry, I had a realtor that helped me buy and sell my homes. Did I really know, bottom line, what they did for me? I had no clue. I just knew that they sent me paperwork to sign. I signed it. We transferred money. And in the end, I was in my house. I had no clue what the actual steps were and what they were doing
Yeah.
behind the scenes. So when I meet with, you talked about the 1%. When I meet with potential sellers, I let them know this is everything that I'll do for you. I'm here. You need to call me. You have a question. I'm available to you. I'm not just going to list your house and hope for the best. There's a lot of
Poof,
things
bye.
that we do for you to help you get to the end, and it's a stressful thing to do as well.
Yes.
So I like to take as
Yes.
much stress off my clients as possible and put it on my shoulders. This is what I do day in, day out. I understand it. I understand the contract. And, I'm here to help them understand the process and the contract and not find themselves, like
Yeah.
you said, in a
Yeah.
situation where, there's this huge purchase or sell on the line, and, there's a mistake made,
Hmm.
or they don't understand fully,
Yeah.
what they've gotten themselves into. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I'll go from my own experience. The last house I bought, they, when you do your walkthrough, you have to make sure everything's in contract of what they said they would leave,
Mm-hmm.
and anything permanently attached, right, should be there. But you're overwhelmed in this process. You just, I bought out, I surpassed 26 offers.
Right.
I did my final walkthrough and didn't think anything of it. Everything was fine. Everything looked great. They had cleaned it, whatever, all that stuff. And then it was the day that I moved in, or like the second day I moved in, and my AC stopped working.
Oh.
And I was like, and it was in April. So I think when I did the final walkthrough, I didn't test who does that, whatever.
Right.
But then, so when we moved in, it was like the next day that we actually, because it was in April, we needed to use the AC.
Yeah.
So it wasn't working. And I was like, it worked. And I know they were gone and out of the house. So I'm like, this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
And that I then looked, because when it was on the market and when the inspector came through, it was a smart home. They had smart thermostats.
Oh.
They had their Vivint alarm system. And we knew the outdoor cameras weren't going to be on that. That was on the purchase agreement. But what they did is they were supposed to, and I know they had a newer real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily my realtor knew them. And they actually did us a massive favor. They let me, the CD was there with the loan, but we had to extend it like 2 times. And at that point I had to get out of my house.
Right.
We had a semi truckload of stuff I didn't know where to put.
Right.
So they allowed us to move it into the garage. So they did really help us. So when I saw all this, I'm like, so what had happened, and what I think I called the AC company and they came out. Luckily, it was what they really did was they took out the thermostats and replaced them, but they didn't connect the wires correctly.
Oh, gotcha.
So it ended up not being a massive thing. Right. So I told because he's like, look, they have to put those back. I looked through the contract. None of us caught that because it was part of you're
Right.
just overwhelmed and you don't see every little detail. But I like to tell this story because maybe it brings awareness and you're like, oh, what to look for, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I was like, it was $75 for the call to come out. I go, they did me a favor. I want good juju in this house. Right. I don't want to, I wanted, the smart systems, the smart thermostats. There were 3 of them. We're about $200 a piece, but I'm like, look, we're just going to leave it. If it was something major, I would have, but technically, legally, they had to have left those, right? Because it wasn't in the contract. It was permanently affixed, but it's a learning experience. But I'm never skipping over that stuff.
Right. There's so many things.
But that's why you have your realtor, because now you have to go fight. Yeah. And do. You wouldn't have known that if you were buying and selling on your own or using an online, like you said, like an realtor, company, whatever they're called,
Right. Yeah. There's so many things that you wouldn't know on your own without a professional there to help you through that. And like you said, had you wanted to pursue
and those are little things,
your realtor would have done that for you and helped you with that, which is nice.
Yes.
But yeah, things like that happen. Yes. I'm telling you, a big part of our job is problem solving. Things always come up and we have to find a solution, to solve them, to get us to the end. So, it's a huge part of what we do. And just to have someone.
I think because I'm trying to normalize, I just had an idea. I'm trying to normalize us being respectable industries, right? And professionals. I mean, not respectable industries, but let me reword that: respectable professionals and really valued and seen like a doctor and a lawyer. Yeah. But I was like, we should have a podcast where you and me just bring up all these situations and scenarios, because I could do it for the insurance industry every day. I have a million scenarios that you're like, oh, this will never happen to me. I just want the cheap insurance. Well, you're going to get the cheap payout then.
Yeah. There's so many
and we
things
just go back and forth on scenarios.
And you can't even make the things up. There's so many of them. Yeah. And crazy things that come up.
They're like, I'm in this every day. I see all the crazies.
Yeah. And you can't be surprised. In the beginning, I would be surprised, like, oh my gosh, can you believe this happened? Now I'm like, I'm not surprised.
You're jaded. You're like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
So true. Well, I'm really glad. I am happy. Like, I love everything that you're doing. What are your big kind of like marketing what are some big marketing, I guess, strategies, or what has really helped you other than referrals? We obviously know those are big. What are some like good marketing tips or strategies that you have that has really helped you stay consistent?
Yeah, like you said, you don't spend a lot of time on your marketing or a lot of money or energy on your and I don't either.
Mm-hmm.
I really do focus on my referrals. That's my main source of business is my referrals. I don't
Mm-hmm.
spend a lot of money, if any, on marketing. Now, not to say that it wouldn't be something to look into in the future, but currently right now I'm not.
Sure.
The way that I'm going about business is working for me. I'm getting great clients out of it. And so I haven't really ventured off into, possibly some paid marketing at this point, because
What
what I'm doing
about
is
like
working.
well, what about like your current clientele? How do you stay in front of them? Do
Oh,
you,
yeah,
like, how do you ask for referrals? Like, what are like that to me would be the same. We probably do the same
right.
thing. I need to
Yeah.
get better at, the retention and the internal
Yeah.
stuff. Cause you're always trying to catch the outside, but you're like, no,
Yeah.
I want the current people. How do
Yeah.
I build the
So,
current people?
yeah,
So,
we have a whole program in place for our clients. If you remember, it's funny because you were referred to me. So I found you from a
mhm,
referral. And the reason I called
yep.
you too and really wanted to connect was because when when I did move forward with the insurance, you sent me a package. It had a few pins in it that were
Hmm.
personalized to you. And I thought,
Hmm.
this is amazing. This is what I do for my clients. She's doing the same thing. That's amazing. And it's those little things. You're like, what's a little card or a
Yeah.
little package? What's someone really going to think about that? But you don't see that often, and so
Yeah.
mine's similar.
Yeah.
I meet or talk to someone. I call people, have a conversation on the phone. I follow up with them to see how they're doing.
Hmm.
I write a
Yep.
personal note to them to stay
Yep.
in contact. Because who does that? Who receives a note in the mail these days? I'm just hope that you're
I know
good and
you
how are you
actually, when we
doing?
got together for coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah. And when we got together for coffee, I love that. You just sent a follow up. Thanks for grabbing
yeah,
coffee with me. And I'm like,
yeah.
I need to get so much better at that.
Yeah, it just becomes like the normal
So
routine. It
thank you for
becomes
that.
habit. You're welcome. And it's just those little things,
Yes.
just staying in
I
staying in
totally agree with
contact
you.
with people.
Yes.
Yeah, and let them know
Yeah.
that they're important to
And
you.
yeah. And I will tell you, I appreciated you reaching out because sometimes when when you're relooking at your budget and your operational expenses, like especially for me, because obviously we have to have a lot more clientele than
Hmm.
you. I mean, we obviously want the same amount of clientele, but
Right,
I have to, mine is the numbers game. And
right.
when you're going back to revisit, sometimes I'm like, okay, do I really still keep the welcome gifts
Yeah,
or can I, drop it down, and you're like, how many people are really reaching out and saying it? But I don't think a lot of people are, but exactly what you said, it always comes back. I'm like, no, I still feel like people appreciate it. They
yeah,
don't just necessarily reach out every time to do it,
exactly,
And so
exactly. And even
we have to just
myself,
remember, yeah.
even
Hmm.
myself, sometimes I'll get a little note in the mail and I think, oh, it made me feel good. I'm like, it made me feel special for a minute. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, these little things that we're doing, people do appreciate them. Maybe they're having a bad day and they get your
they do.
note, and it
Yeah.
turns their day around. So when I start to question that a little bit, I think about how I feel when I get those, and then I'm like, I know that it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
For
sure.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And that's why I always go back to you and your conversation. I'm like, no, it made a difference. We've
Yeah,
gotten a great relationship out of it, and it's
yeah,
still going to go. And I'm like, there's still a lot of people that still refer us. So I'm like, there are things that we can continue to do. And actually my next initiative within the agency is, we do little things right now, but it isn't just about the great service. It's about staying in front of them, right? So what can
hmm,
I do that's still cost effective,
yeah,
that I'm still in front of our clients? We can still make an impact other than just, being friendly and answering our phone,
right,
right?
right,
My question is always, how can I set myself apart
right.
from my competition? How
Mhm.
can I make that client feel valued,
Yeah,
because they truly are, and they aren't just a commission check,
right.
So, and the problem is you're excited because they go to buy another house and they get it. I don't want their only interaction to be when they have an accident.
Yeah,
With our
exactly.
agency.
They're only calling you when something bad happens or
I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want to answer and say hi every week to you.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work at the,
Right.
Client level scale. But
Right.
there are other, ways that we can do it and stay in front and still make an impact.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. And our team,
that's
we
what
go
we're
we go a
constantly
step further
trying
too.
to.
We do like 3 to 4 client parties a year, and we invite our clients so that way we can communicate and enjoy time and talk to them,
I like that.
outside of
Mm-hmm.
just talking about business. They bring their children, we talk to their children.
Yeah.
So essentially you really
Yeah.
get to know and like these people as your friends, and they become so much more than
Yes.
clients.
Yes.
They do become your friends,
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's what I always tell people. I'm like, they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm an insurance agent. And I'm like, and they immediately think like, I say it more positively, but they immediately think I'm this like car salesman. And I was like, even trying to talk to people, because I truly believe I'm in the best industry. And I go, I don't sell insurance. I literally just go around and make friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I'm trying to get people in. I'm like, I love building the relationship.
Yes.
And I remember my clients. I remember the stories. And I'm not in the day-to-day quoting anymore, but my team loves building that relationship and talking. And I do it too. And I still do it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I tell people, I was like, I'm just in the people business. I literally go around and have coffee and happy hour with people.
Yeah.
And make friends.
That's what it is. We make friends with them.
And that's what you do.
With them. It's great. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah. Right? I was like, how do I get around the stigma of used car salesmen?
Yeah.
And not that there's anything against used car salesmen. So I hope I didn't offend anybody.
Right. So like you said, it's the stigma.
I'm like, yeah, it's like the eye roll and the, oh my gosh, you're an insurance salesman.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No, that's my vehicle. I just get to go out and talk to people. Yeah. And the great news is you have to have insurance. So
exactly. And
you're
for
forced
us,
to
you have to own a home.
Unless you want to deal with the lizard.
Live.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And, actually a friend of mine who's a realtor in a different state, we were chatting and I made the same comment like you, and I wasn't saying it, derogatory or comparatively to her. Right. But I was like, you have to legally have me. Like whether you own a home, if you have a mortgage, you legally have to have insurance, or your car, the state requires you to have it. And she goes, you have to use, in the sense of, if the going gets tough, you have to sell your home. Or if the going's good, you buy a home. So when she made that comment, I was like, you are right. You still are a necessary situation, whether it be good or bad.
Exactly.
If it's bad, you get a divorce. Sometimes you have to sell the house. Yeah. Like you have to have somebody. And I'm like, I didn't even think of it that way. So thank you for opening my eyes. I'm like, it really is. Yeah. And I think that's why I always say I was a realtor in my past life. Because I just love it.
That's why we get along so well.
I know. I was like, I'll go house hunting any day. If you need me to fill in, I will do that.
It really is fun.
Especially if they're $1 million homes. Then I really want to go see it.
I love looking at houses with people.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I've had such a fun time learning your history. I didn't realize you came from the corporate world, especially from what 18-year-old really wants to get into HR.
I know. I know.
And I'm sure that's going to rub somebody the wrong way, but I clearly don't like HR.
Yeah. A lot of people don't. It's a necessary evil, kind of like insurance.
It is. Yep. I run a very not PC.
Yeah.
But I have to have HR to put me in line. So exactly. I get it. All right. Okay.
Exactly.
But no, I've loved that. I didn't realize that's where you came from and that, it really gave you a good baseline to start and a really good, knowledge base to build a successful, business, because people forget realtors have to be successful at business to make it. Because if not, you can't live off of 1 or 2 sold homes a year.
No.
So
no. Yeah. You have to be successful or you're right. You're not going to make it. You don't have a business. You don't have clientele. So You
Yep.
really do have to work hard at that. And, at the end of the day, though, it
Yeah.
is very
Yeah.
rewarding. Yeah.
Very much. Yep. Same. Awesome. Well, I thank you for coming on. It has been great. And I will continue to stay in touch. And I know we want to do some social media stuff. So my life
Yes.
finally like calmed down just a little bit. So we need to
Okay.
get that on the books.
Sounds
That'll
good.
be fun.
For sure. We'll do that. Thank you
Awesome.
for
Well,
having
thank you.
me.
And to all of our listeners, your handles will be online. So we are going to continue to build and support each other, and your social media stuff will be listed in our show notes.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Of course.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Ashley Mastowski. Tune in next time for more inspiration and stories from women who've made an impact. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Special shout out to Little Dog Social Media for making all of this come together.